Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining me here today. If you find yourself here, there may be a message for your healing journey, soul's evolution, transformation, or simply information. Today, we'd like to talk a little bit about childhood friends and lifelong friends that may have lost their way. Sometimes they get lost, yes, and maybe in the matrix, or maybe life just started off rough and they tumbled and fell and found their way back and somehow ended up feeling like lifeless. I've had some really dear friends throughout my whole life, childhood friends. One of my friends in particular, her father, her real dad, uh, passed away when she was really young. I remember it very vaguely, but for her mother, who was so beautiful and recently passed, he was literally crossing a train and got hit. So it was profoundly, obviously shocking for the whole town community. My parents were friends with them, and it was sad. She had two beautiful girls and all by herself. Her mother, who was just a beautiful soul. But eventually, I remember, you know, everybody collaborating to try and help her through this tragedy. Sooner or later, she married this guy, and he was like very tall and deep voice, scared the hell out of us. And he was like John Wayne. He protected her and loved her so much, and all the girls, and they had a child together too. They began their life, and we were friends for a long time. And of course, my parents divorced, my mom remarried, and they didn't really have much of a relationship, but I was always friends with my girlfriend. And we had a lot in common, played a lot of sports. But through struggles and hurt of her dad missing, she had some relationships that were told to us, and addictions and alcohol and things like that. But we were good friends, went through a lot of things in life, right? Life happens. So, and other friends in college, kind of same or similar type things, dad or tragic loss of a child or brother, such as myself. And it takes you down a journey of no other. That pain is very deep. And there's not really much anybody can say at the time of those type of losses because if somebody hasn't shared that experience, it's hard to know what to say. And you can Google a lot of things nowadays, what to say to somebody, but every day is different. You never know what the healing journey needs, right? What you need. And as you grow and evolve, life happens, and then you move on. And if it's unhealed, it gets triggered in a lot of many other ways. So as other deaths happen, family and friends, it triggers that deep hurt of just at the pit of you. How do you survive? How do you go on? How do you do this? So, good thing you have grandparents that answer questions or people that answer questions when you circle back as an adult and you ask those questions and somebody fills in the blanks a little bit and gives you some advice. And then you're good for a while. But then another thing happens and you get triggered and hurt because you just don't understand why God would do these things. And yes, I believed in God. So I was angry. He was like, why? And what's the point? Why do I have faith if all these things happen that are so painful? Well, it sometimes it's to help you grow, and sometimes it's unnecessary chaos that other people project onto you. But lifelong friends go through things, and you talk about it. And as adults, you evolve and you grow. Your emotional intelligence actually does too. And sometimes those people stay the same. They don't really have the ability to grow. So maybe you can call them at any given time and they'll be there for you because that's a good friend, unwavering, true love. But sometimes they just don't know how to help or what to say, even though you know they've been through some things, right? So friends that collaborate with other people because it's easier, maybe they don't have money or maybe they get lured in to do different things and they're in a tailspin. They know that you're there, and they do call upon you and reach out when they're in despair, but you can't help them because they are not getting out of their own way. And that's a sad thing, a really sad thing when you have literally been friends with somebody your whole life, and sometimes they just aren't doing great things for themselves. Try and help them, get them on their road to recovery, and then they're okay for a while, and then the same thing happens. So these unhealed wounds are so deep, it's so painful to see and watch people go through them. And your heart bleeds, right? Because they're friends. And then sometimes they get lured in to do different things that are just so unhealthy for them. And they do it right in front of you because they've lost their way. And then something else happens. Maybe a parent dies or they have another divorce. And they're just sad. They are very depressed. So you offer some help or suggestions and you visit, you bring light to some things that you went through as a child, but you're still stuck there. These are very, very deep and painful things to watch somebody go through that can't help themselves, even though you try. But sometimes you have to let God or whoever you believe in take control, take the wheel, right? Carry on the wood, Jesus, take the wheel. And it's true. Have them listen to songs and where does it resonate and what is it going to do for you? But, if somebody's, relying on the alcohol to medicate their pain, it's not going to help. And maybe now they just line up for that experience. It's a very low level energy. And then you worry that they're not going to be around if they're drinking and driving, right? So you check the obituaries in your small town frequently just to see. And sometimes you see a friend that have passed, or you get notified, and it's a sad thing. Or maybe just because they died of cancer or other things. But when they have addictions, it's a sad thing. I know some friends that have done really great things, pulled themselves up from places and do great things, and then they get into relationships and they fall way back and they lose everything. That's the worst feeling. It's a sinking feeling in your stomach not to be able to help somebody that's suffering. For me, it is anyway. I don't want anybody to suffer, but you can't help people that can't get out of their own way. And that's a very sad thing. But try not to lose yourself along the way and give them some encouragement. Actually, write a letter to them so they can read it. I know I've done that a few times to certain friends, and they read it and they cry, and then they get angry at you for bringing up things that are painful to look at. But it's because you love them and you want them to live the best life possible, and their family does too. But rock bottom is rock bottom, and some people hit it many times. And once the final door has hit them, you'll be there, right? I was there for certain people, and then sometimes it literally took their life. But you show up for their funeral, maybe say a few kind words and remind people to not be angry because their loved one, their family and friends has passed over, that they couldn't help it. They just couldn't help it. They just were too overtaken by the pain, and just allow the words of healing to be present for everybody. Their journey was theirs, right? So I recently heard of a classmate passing away, and she was funny. And I didn't realize it till I was about the things that she was doing in grade school or that were done to her. But as we grew older and talked to each other on the phone, she would say things like, sort of in joking but sarcastic. And I knew she meant that happened to her. And we talked about it. And she was strong enough to say, I refused to do ABC. And when she felt out of control, she would lock herself in the bathroom or outside the kid's door. And I said, why would you do that? Because she was in so much pain, and she told me why. Wrenching, wrenching, wrenching. And I knew it. Actually, I knew it. We were children, there was something wrong. But she would sneak a lot of alcohol and things. I didn't know that, but it made sense because everybody said she had a learning disability. Well, she was actually just drinking. I didn't know that. Like literally in the ketchup. Who the hell knew, right? But she passed away, and she was a beautiful soul, and she was nothing like anybody said she was. I knew who she was. Very creative, funny, good mother, good parent, good friend, and good daughter, but treated poorly. So I understand that when you're treated poorly. And my heart goes out to her, and I hope she rests in peace because she was a beautiful soul. And yes, she had a tumultuous marriage. The first one, the second one loved her so much. And her children do love her too. But it'll take them all some healing time because she passed away too early. She got back into drinking because of something that happened to her. It took her right back because it was unhealed. And it took her out, literally. And it's very sad, but sometimes that happens. So, for the family and friends of people that have lost somebody that they are angry at, just find your healing so you can be at peace and allow that person to be in peace on their journey, for they'll be on the other side healing. And they ask that you forgive them most of the time. That's what they want for you. Once you release them to find their healing, they can find it, and so will you. Release that anger because they didn't know, and that's their journey. And maybe you were part of it because you need to learn some things too, and that's the bigger picture. And ask around to her family and friends and people who knew her far before you did, especially the children, and share some stories. Write a book. That's what I tell everybody at funeral homes. Write some funny things down or send a video, uh, a voice recording of those special moments, because sometimes those special moments nobody really knows about. So it's important to highlight, to celebrate, right? It's a celebration of their life. So I hope this helps today. Just remember to take care of you because you matter, and healing is sacred. It's not selfish. And so it is. Namaste.